I've said before that I don't want to be the kind of person who just collects every single houseplant species for the sake of it. But honestly, even with an intentional collection, things aren't always perfect. If you've been following my orchid rescues, you know that I love a project, but today I'm going to be showing you the projects I didn't plan for. Today we're going to be doing an Honest Anthurium tour with yellow leaves, pests, and all. So I'm going to start by showing you my anthuriums that are the reason why I keep anthuriums. So first of all, we have this beautiful anthurium right here. This is an Anthurium Dock Block Michelle crossed with Anthurium Hedgiuli or King of Spades. So it is pretty beautiful. This is the first, I'd say, mature leaf that it gave me. The past leaves that it gave me were a little bit more juvenile. They had more of a, I'd say, arrow shaped rather than that King of Spades round shape. And I'm really in love with this anthurium. I actually had this outside. It was sitting on this shelf here for the entirety of the winter. And it tried to put out 2 leaves and it did not end up expanding. But about a month ago, I put it back into my IKEA greenhouse cabinet and it put out this leaf. So it kind of goes to show that these plants really like high humidity. I also should mention that I counted 21 anthuriums in my collection, which is quite a lot. I'd say I would like to have about 10 anthuriums in my collection maximum, so I might be downsizing some of these, but if I don't end up downsizing my anthurium collection, I want to make sure I'm taking really good care of them. So I'm probably going to start wiping off their leaves as well as I go with this mineral feed and repellent. So the second anthurium that I have, and it's also one of my favorites, is this Anthurium Tizula Red Crystal crossed with itself. Another reason why I love these anthuriums is because they have beautiful, beautiful emergent leaves. A lot of people love the red crystallinum and really gravitate towards it because it tends to keep this beautiful red color or veining, which you can see right here. And I got this one about a year ago at the Secret Plant Society show and sale. And it wasn't a cheap purchase. It was quite expensive, but I knew I really wanted one. And I did set it back a couple times because I gave it root rot. I gave it too much love and then I completely forgot about it. And the leaves started to yellow. I also noticed that there were thrips on here about a week ago or so, and I gave it a spray down. And unfortunately, when you spray down a fresh leaf, sometimes it burns. So you can kind of see right here. That's burn from spraying it with my Safer's End-All. But yeah, this is the second anthurium. This is the Anthurium Red Crystallinum crossed with itself, or pollinated with itself. This one here I got from a friend. This is an Anthurium papilolaminum crossed with a bevep. And again, another beautiful emergent leaf. This one just has this beautiful gold, brown, or bronze emergent leaf. And it's super duper velvety. I got this one as a gift from someone in the Orchid Society. And I again tried to grow this in ambient conditions, and as you can see, it did not like that at all. And then once I moved it back into the IKEA greenhouse cabinet, it pushed out this leaf almost immediately. So that just again goes to show that these plants do love humidity. So this is the third anthurium that I have. It is the papilolaminum crossed with bevep. You can kind of see it in the sun a little bit here. Beautiful. Now this is one of the plants that really got me into anthuriums as well, the Anthurium Carla Blackiae. This one is from Amazonian Plants, Ecuador, and it's the Anthurium Carla Blackiae Z15 crossed with Z13. And this Anthurium Carla specifically has a very narrow leaf, and its petioles are kind of stubby and they kind of sprawl a little bit. unlike my other one that I'll show you after this. The emergent leaves on these are actually very bright red and bright pink, so it's always a treat when this one puts out a new leaf. So I'm going to grab my other Anthurium Carla Blackiae that I'll show you, and we can kind of compare them. So this one was my first Anthurium Carla Blackiae, and I got this one about a year ago as well. This Anthurium Carla looks a little different than this one right here. I actually had my doubts that if this was an Anthurium Carla, I think maybe it might be crossed with a crystallinum just because of the way that it looks and the way that it's growing as well. But nonetheless, it's a very hardy specimen. This one's just growing in ambient, and it did put out a new leaf. I'm just going to show you guys really quickly. Right over here. There you go. And I really like how this specific Carla puts out dark purple emergent leaves. And yeah, it's just quite a stunning Carla, and I have 2 of them. Do I need 2 of them? No, but they are quite beautiful. The next Anthurium that I'm going to be showing you is this Anthurium Amazon Diamond Inverse Crossing. It's the Anthurium Bessiae AFF crossed with an Anthurium luxurians. So the texture on this Anthurium is beautiful, as well as its color. It has that oil spill looking velvetness to it, and it has those bumps from the Anthurium luxurians. And this one kind of was a rehab as well. It growed pretty well for me until I took it out of the cabinet and I thought I could grow in an ambient room, humidity and temperature. And obviously that didn't work too well, so it dropped most of its leaves, and the leaves that it kept, they were turning brown and yellow, and I thought I was going to lose it, but I repotted it into this Jollibee cup, and it's been in my cabinet for about a month and a half. And again, you can see some beautiful new growth, and these 2 new leaves have grown in as well. And these ones are more juvenile, so they're more green. But this next one, I hope this one's going to be nice, dark, and beautiful. This is my 6th Anthurium. Now for the reality check. Half of my Anthuriums aren't looking their best. I'm learning how to take care of them every single day. And right over here is my Anthurium, I forgot what this one's called. Anthurium warwickwianum. It's the queen Anthurium, I believe. And this one is the narrow dark form. I got this from Equahanera about 5 years ago. So this is a pretty old plant. And I actually accidentally broke one of the plants off of the main stem that it came from. And I propagated one, and now the baby is about the same size as the mother plant, which is kind of funny. And it's just in this 5-inch pot, and there's a lot of roots. And it definitely needs a repot, and I don't think the medium that I put it in is the best. It's just coco coir. So this definitely needs a repot soon. I did also notice that this plant always had these brown spots in the back that look a little bit like this. And I had no idea what it was for a very long time, but I think it's flat mites, a type of bug that attacks the leaves and leaves this damage on it. So I'm starting to spray it with my Safer's End-All and just ensuring that it doesn't spread to my other plants, because this is also living in my high humidity plant cabinet. But yeah, it's not looking the best, but it's also not looking the worst. You'll see some later on in this video that don't look too good. But yeah, this is a pretty iconic plant. Everyone kind of went crazy over this plant during the pandemic, and I'm very lucky to still have mine. I do think I'm going to repot it though this growing season, just because it's stalling its growth and I really want to see it thrive. It's just such a beautiful plant. Next up is my Anthurium clarinervium. I think it's called a King of Clarinervium Gray, because of, I think, the lines that it has, and the emergents do come out a very nice, beautiful gray. And this one is a very special one. It's Nothing like the other Anthurium clarinerviums that I've seen. And I got this from a local seller in Canada. So I guess they're not super local to here, but they're from Winnipeg. And I got this about a year ago now, and it was growing really well in my plant cabinet. And then it stopped growing, I think because it is root bound. I think they do like to be root bound, but not this root bound. And maybe its medium is not too good as well. So maybe I'll repot this, but I'll give you a closer look at the leaf. It doesn't look like the regular clarinervium that you're used to seeing. And that's kind of why I fell in love with this one. It's a little bit more narrow. Its venations is very beautiful as well. So it has 3 leaves. This one is its newest, and it's not looking really good at all. So I'm really hoping that it does end up bouncing back. I did end up taking this one out of the plant cabinet, and I'm just ensuring that I'm keeping on top of watering it. And ever since I've been doing that, it's started to grow some beautiful new roots, which is really nice. There's a really beautiful white tip right over here. I'm hoping that it's going to start to put out a new leaf soon. It is kind of swelling right over here, so I think a new leaf is in our books in the next couple of weeks or in the month or so. And yeah, I just really want this one to thrive and grow. It's one of my favorites. I think if I had to only keep 5, this would definitely be one of them. So this one is an Anthurium Indo-Portiliae crossed with a Anthurium papillolaminum RA5, and it has these beautiful narrow spade leaves and has a beautiful velvet texture as well. And this one is the perfect example of neglect. This is what happens when the medium of your plant ends up becoming hydrophobic, because this was in a tiny, maybe 3-inch pot for a really long time, maybe about a year or so, and it was growing really, really fast. Mind you, when I first got this, it was maybe the largest leaf was 2 inches long, so it is quite big from when I first got it. And I didn't water it for about a month, and the medium just became so hydrophobic to the point where when I tried watering it even every other day, water would just rush through and the roots wouldn't be able to access any of that water. So it started to drop so many of its leaves, and it got me super duper worried because it put out a new leaf once every 2 weeks or so, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I knew that there was something wrong with it, and it just wasn't getting enough water. And once I was left with just 3 leaves, I knew I had to repot it. So I just potted it up in this 6-inch nursery pot. And I actually just noticed right now that there is a new leaf. I'll give you a closer look. Maybe I'll put in some B-roll so you can kind of see it better. And I just repotted this last week, so I'm very happy that it is putting out a new leaf. I did also have this out in ambient room temperature and humidity, and I didn't like it, so back in the cabinet it went, and it seems to be doing really well for itself. I was going to start wiping some of these leaves down, but I didn't want to prolong the video, so I'm just going to breeze through all of these plants, and I'm going to wipe them down before I put them back where they're supposed to be. This one's actually one of my favorites. I actually won this one in a giveaway. I just had to write my name down during the Plant Society show, and they messaged me on Instagram and they let me know that I won. So I had to pick this up somewhere downtown, and parking's not fun downtown, so it was a journey, but it was worth it for this plant. This one is the Anthurium Bevep round crossed with Felix, and then it was crossed again with JV papillolaminum Ralphlinum Katie. So it was made by Planta Verde. I think they're based out in Alberta, which is the province right next to the province I live in, British Columbia. And this is just such a beautiful plant. I think it definitely took after the Ralphlinum Katie, because you can see this emergent leaf. It's pink, and that leaf shape is just so beautiful as well. And This one was very tiny when I first got it. I don't know if I have any photos, but it is growing really nicely, and it's starting to put out more mature leaves as well. I think this one's the first semi-mature leaf that it gave me. And then this one, the growth stunted because I didn't water it. So I'm pretty guilty for not doing that. And anthuriums don't like to dry out like orchids do. So I need to find that balance somehow in my collection. But I did repot this the same time I repotted this. This one is the Indoport Pap RA5, and it seems to be doing pretty well. I planted this up in a 6-inch pot, and wow, I actually see some new roots as well. So it is pretty happy in this mix. I do almost the same mix for all my terrestrial plants, kind of an aroid mix with orchid bark. I try to fertilize them as well. I'm keeping on top of fertilizing them just to ensure that I'm replenishing the nutrients that are being lost when I water these plants. So this is the 10th plant that I have, or the 10th anthurium that I have, the Bevep round Felix crossed with JV Pap Ralphinum Katie, and it is from Planta Verde. Beautiful plant. It's also in this pot that I made and glazed. So this one was an impulse buy that I did almost a year and a half ago. This one is an Anthurium hoffmanii X crossed with an Ace of Spades, and it has an NSC question mark on it. But I really wanted an Ace of Spades because they have such a deep, dark black almost color of its emergence. And the thing about anthuriums is that they vary so much in appearance because a lot of them are seed grown instead of cloned or propagated. And this one definitely was probably seed grown as well. And I do like its shape. It's very hoffmanii-esque, and its new emergent leaves are pretty dark, which is pretty cool, but more of a dark bronze. It's not a deep dark black, which I really was hoping for. This one is not doing too well because it's potting situation as well. I definitely do need to repot it, and I'm starting to stay on top of watering it as well. This one I didn't water for almost 2 months at one point, and I don't know how it's still alive, but it's still kicking, and the leaves don't look like it's at its best. But again, I do see some new roots popping up, and I see the growth point swelling a little bit. So I'm hoping it puts out some new leaves this summer, and I might end up giving this away or selling it if I find out that I'm not too in love with it later on. So the 12th anthurium that I have in my collection is the Anthurium King of Spades crossed with itself. I actually have another plant that looks very similar to this one, and I'm hoping to either give this one away or sell it as well. This one is quite beautiful. It kind of almost has that King of Spades butterfly look to it, but this one is so interesting to me because it would put out so much new roots, and then I would forget to water it after 2 weeks or so, and then all the roots would shrivel up, and then I'd water it, and then it would rot. So very interesting plant. As you can see, it's doing the exact same thing, putting out a lot of beautiful new roots, and I think it just likes to be pampered. So as long as I keep on top of watering, I think it'll be okay. And it's very similar to this other plant I got, which has King of Spades in its parentage as well. I'm going to show you it really quickly. So this one is an Anthurium King of Spades crossed with a Galaxy Anthurium. I think that's a Papilolaminum cross, and they look very similar to me. So I don't know why I needed 2 of them. And that just shows that impulse buying is not the best because you end up getting things that look the same. And I would be happy with only having 1 of these. And this one is just such a vigorous grower. Mind you, I got these both at the same time, and this plant was way smaller than this plant when I got it. So I do really like this one that I'm holding right here because it grows really fast. But I wasn't taking care of it, and it has a bunch of thrip damage, which is not the best. But I've been on top of treating it, so I'm hoping that it bounces back soon. This is plant number 12 and 13. This is a King of Spades crossed with itself. And this one is a King of Spades crossed with an Anthurium Galaxy. And it is quite big. Here, I'll do a head test. There you go. This was one of my favorite anthuriums when I first got it. This is from Midnight Garden or Hoffmanni High. And I got this about a year ago, I'd say, as well. A lot of these anthuriums I got a year ago when I was impulse buying, and it didn't feel good because I felt overwhelmed by the end of getting all these anthuriums. So I'm happy that I kind of took a step back and reflected a little bit and realized I didn't need to have every single anthurium in the books. But I have what I have right now, and I'm going to try my best to take care of them and try not to bring any more into my collection. But this one is the Anthurium Midnight Stranger cross with a RVDP, which is I think a red vein dark phoenix, and usually has a really deep dark leaf with these red veins and a red sinus as well. And the back looks pretty red, which is pretty cool. But again, I neglected this plant. It has a beautiful root system, so I'm very grateful that I still have that to work with. But it definitely needs an up pot, and it needs to be planted deeper because its stem is getting super duper long. And this one's growing in ambient right now, and you can see that it's actually putting out a new leaf, which is quite interesting. And that happened when I started to actually be on top of watering it. Also might be because it's spring, but definitely because I started being on top of watering. So yeah, I really like this plant. I think I'm going to transition it back into my plant cabinet, but firstly I'm going to repot it. I don't have the pots right now, but the Secret Plant Society show is this coming weekend, or next weekend, sorry. And I'm going to be buying some pots, and I'm going to go ahead and repot a lot of my anthuriums. But yeah, this one is quite beautiful. Definitely a long history with thrips. Looks like it doesn't have any thrips anymore, but I just genuinely had such a big thrip problem, especially when I was busy at work. I didn't have the time to go through every single one of them and spray them. But I have a little bit of time now, so I'm trying my best to stay on top of that, which I probably mentioned 20 times in this video. But yeah, this is the Midnight Stranger crossed with a red vein dark phoenix. So this is the 15th anthurium that I have. It is an Anthurium veitchii, or a king anthurium. I've always had bad luck with this plant. I also impulse bought this about a year and a half ago. I was buying a variegated Maranta, and the lady gave me a deal with this, so I ended up purchasing it as well. But this is my third Anthurium veitchii, and as you can see, it's not doing its best. And I think I'm going to give up on Anthurium veitchii after this. It just continuously declines in my care. It puts out these tiny leaves. It's very prone to thrips in my collection, so I don't think I'll be keeping this plant for the foreseeable future once this one dies, but it looks like it's trying to grow. I think I need to ensure that I'm on top of watering this plant, but I find it very finicky. It doesn't like to be fully flushed and watered, and then it doesn't like to be bone dry, so I put it in a loose mix and water it more frequently, but it doesn't like that as well. So we'll see how it goes this growing season. It doesn't look like it's at its best. Again, it has signs of thrip damage and I guess low humidity because it unfurled and it started to tear. But yeah, this is the 15th plant, the Anthurium veitchii. Very real on what a veitchii looks like in my collection. Not the prettiest. So the 16th plant in my collection, I think this is my largest anthurium. You can kind of see how big it is in comparison to my head. This is an Anthurium Dressleri, or Dressleri. I got this at the Secret Plant Society shop sale as well. And it was pretty small when I first got it. I think this was the largest leaf that it had. And then it put out this leaf, which is about the same size, and then it put out this leaf. This plant does not like to dry out. I, again, didn't water this for a month, and it limped really bad. I actually thought I lost it. I thought it was dead. But I started to become a little bit more consistent with watering it, and it started to bounce back as well. It is a pretty mature plant. It actually bloomed for me, which is pretty cool. Their blooms aren't as crazy as an orchid, but they do still look pretty cool. It has a pretty decent root system, as you can see right here. It has a lot of older roots, not a lot of new growth tips, but I'm sure it'll start to grow a lot this summer if I continue to take care of it properly. But really beautiful dark velvet plant. It definitely needs more attention, and I hope it just continues to grow. I don't know what to do once it puts out a leaf bigger than this because I don't have the space for it. So I might end up selling this plant when it gets a little too big. I think it did have thrips at one point, but I ensured that I was on top of removing the pests, and it's been thrip free for the past month or so. But obviously with pests, which is normal to have in such a big collection, you can't really escape them, and you have to be on top of trying to get rid of them, because if you don't, they'll just come back and the whole process has to start all over again. So really cool petioles as well, really ridgy and bumpy. And I think there's a new leaf coming out, which is pretty cool. And it's just a joy to have. I just think it's getting a little too big. So this is the 17th Anthurium that I have in my collection. This one's actually my partner Liam's favorite. This one is the red crystallinum indoform crossed with a red crystallinum tizula. So it's not as red as the pure tizula that I have, that I showed you earlier in this video, but it is a very vigorous grower, and its emergent leaves are a little bit pink, which is pretty cool. But the silver is super stark on this crystallinum, so it does feel very special, and it grows really, really fast. It has so many roots in the pot, so it definitely needs a repot soon so it can continue to size up. All of these leaves actually grew in ambient, so this one definitely is a little bit more hardy than a lot of the anthuriums I have in my collection, and it is putting on a new leaf right over here that you can see. And I've had this for about a year as well, so it's doing pretty good, and I hope to have this in my collection for a very long time because it's just a no-frills kind of plant. It wasn't super expensive, it grows really, really well in ambient temperatures, and it just looks stunning. This is definitely a plant that I think everyone should have in their collection if they could get their hands on it. And it's also my partner's favorite, so it makes it feel very special for sure. So we're in the final stretch of my Anthurium collection, and I'm just going to breeze through these ones. This one is the Anthurium Queen of Hearts. This one is pretty special because it has the potential to have really dark leaves, and its flower is kind of similar, I'd say, to the plant shop anthuriums, but it should be a vigorous grower. I haven't been taking really good care of this as well. I've been underwatering it and not being consistent with watering it, but now that I'm trying, it seems to be putting out a bunch of new roots. So I'm hoping that translates into it growing really nice leaves this growing season. So I do see some thrips on it, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this to the tub and give it a good spray. So this is the 19th Anthurium I have in my collection. This one I got for really cheap. It was like 10 bucks, I believe, and it was already this big when I first got it. I think it's because the seller forgot the tag or lost the tag, so they don't know what species or the name of this hybrid is, but oh, some crust. But I think it's like some sort of pinklei. It has these bunny shaped lobes, which is pretty funny. But this one was also very much a thrip magnet. I think I had thrips on it like since the first day I got it. I'm not too sure if you can see, but the leaves don't look like they're doing their best, because it just consistently gets thrips. But I'm not cutting them off because they still produce a little bit of energy for new growth as well. I'm pretty consistent with ensuring that I spray down this anthurium as well. So it looks like I've fully gotten rid of thrips on it, which is really nice to see. And I've been consistent with watering it as well. And now it's putting out a new leaf. And I just noticed this today actually. So it just goes to show that it really wants to grow, and I'm hoping that it turns out okay. This one I'm not super in love with, but it is such a big anthurium, and I really like big velvet anthurium like this, so I might keep it in my collection. And it does really well in ambient temperatures, which is a big plus because I would love to enjoy these in just a regular living room instead of having to go into the media room and looking in the cabinet. This is an Anthurium magnificum. I've had this in my collection for almost 5 years, I'd say now. So very, very long time. And it's just been pretty much a staple. It's grown in ambient since I got it, and it grows pretty well. It's gone into chunk form so many times, so it had no leaves for a couple of times in its life, but it always grows back, and it's just another classic plant to have. So unlike the crystallinum, it doesn't have those really striking silver veins, rather this lime green venation, which I'm okay with. And this has a possibility to getting really, really big. So I think it would just look really pretty. And again, this has grown in ambient temperature and humidity all of its life. So I'm definitely going to keep it because it's just a spectacle to see in your living room when friends come over as well. They always ask about this plant and they say, whoa, that's so big, it's really cool. And they talk about how they never really seen a plant like this before. So it might be basic to a lot of collectors' eyes, but I just think it's a nice staple to have, and it's just a nice easy grower as well, very forgiving. And lastly, I have one of my favorites in my collection. This one's actually doing pretty well, but it's a little neglected. You can see its stem is very, very long. I do have to chop it soon, I think, or repot it into a deeper pot. But this is an Anthurium luxurians crossed with a dark forgetti. I think it has the best of both worlds from its parents. It has that bumpy, almost alligator texture from the luxurians, and it has that deep dark color from the dark forgetti. I would love for it to fully form its leaf and close off the sinus right here, but I still think this is a very beautiful plant. I also grow this in ambient humidity and temperature, and it does really well. Its leaves never get stuck, and it just consistently puts out really nice large leaves as well. And I just think it's quite beautiful. It's one of my favorites in my collection. It also has that blue oil spilly look to it as well. So this is the last and 21st Anthurium that I have in my collection. This is the Anthurium luxurians crossed with the dark forgetti. So for the plants that I have mentioned earlier, like the ones that are yellowing, I'm not going to toss these plants. I'm going to be more intentional with them and really try to take care of the plants I already have rather than going out to buy more plants that look super pretty as well. Because even though they look pretty in the shop and I bring them back home and I have all these plants I still have to take care of, it's most likely going to go down the same route as these plants as well if I don't really focus in on what I have right now. I'm continuously treating for thrips and for pot-bound plants, if you want to call it that. So plants that definitely need an up pot and plants that have really hydrophobic medium. I'm treating for that as well. That's really important. And if these plants don't end up bouncing back, they might not have space in my collection because they end up bringing more stress than joy. I just really want to enjoy the plants that I have. So I want to make sure that I'm trying my best and giving them a chance. And if not, then again, they might have to be sold or they might have to be thrown out. I think being an intentional collector means admitting when things don't really work out. Collecting plants and owning plants and being stewards of plants is all a learning process. And it's so rewarding to see a plant like this turn out from plants that look like this. So I'm hoping to have a lot of positive updates by the end of the growing season. So let me know down in the comments if you like these kinds of videos. Maybe I'll make more videos of the specific genus of plants that I have. So I already did an anthurium one. Maybe the next one I'll do is an orchid one, because I do have a bunch of orchids as well. If you're new here or if you've been watching my videos, please consider subscribing. I'm currently at 619 subscribers, I think, and I'm hoping to get to my goal of 1,000 by the end of the summer. I usually put out a video once every 2 weeks or so, but I'm going to try to put out about one video a week now that I have a little bit of time on my hands and I could film these videos, edit them, and then get them out. So that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Take care always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.